So what happened? So, to back up a wee bit. Yes, the same questions I was asked repeatedly about concerned how much alcohol I drank, to which I repeatedly lied about. Whilst I was trying not to bleed all over the bathroom and clean it up, I was drinking whiskey because at the time I was convinced it would help. What I didn't seem to care about was that I was drinking a lot, every day. However, one thing I did not do ever was drink at work. Even at this point, I felt that work was a safe place away from the bottle. I will admit, I thought about how I could get home as quickly as possible to have a drink as a prize for working through the day. Also, I never drank at least an hour before I drove. Ever. No matter where I was. I once said I must have been doing something right because I never got arrested. I don't have a DUI. I almost never look drunk. However, in reality, it only takes a clear head and a moment to consider that, admit that in spite of all what I've just written, I was operating with a constantly high level of alcohol in my system. I was constantly legally drunk. Therefore, I may have been drunk when I slipped on the ice. Looking back, I wasn't really doing my job. I was surviving it. I wasn't really being a husband, full stop. Even though our son was off at college and missed most of this, he was there during what I now understand to be the beginning of the escalation, and I had stopped being much of a parent. How did it begin? I'm not sure exactly. What I think is that at some point I was fed up, and I felt alienated by normal life. I always like to have a drink socially, and yes, sometimes to relax. However, I always knew without question when to stop, and I did. When to say no thanks, not for me, was something I was proud of. For years I did this, all the way through college, grad school, moving to the United States, meeting Dana. I knew when to stop. Then one day I didn't. Is it that simple? Well, think of the vicious circle. You are fed up, you have an extra drink, and you feel better. It goes on for a while. You build up a tolerance to your one drink, which turns into a couple, at least, without any clear thought from you. You almost subconsciously drink more at night, and soon a drink even early in the morning before a shower will be how you get to work in the day. At some point, your performance is talked about at work and at home, but your mind is just people complaining. However, it's not your fault. Everyone is overreacting and just to pick at you. You hide from the criticism, which is not your fault. And just to relax and move on, you reach for another drink. Ultimately, you distance yourself as best as you can, but still being active at present and at home. At least that's what you think you're doing, and from your point of view. You feel utterly depressed and oddly too scared to try to make any change. This disease is different from all of us, and I know just how lucky I am. My brain function returned. I stayed in the hospital for another week. My kidneys and liver were carefully checked and tested 6 times a day. Lucky to have a job with good medical insurance. For those 2 vital internal organ systems that are in remarkably good shape for the cards that I actually been dealing them. I was stone cold sober for the first time in a long time, and I had no idea what to do. The extra time in the hospital continued to clean my head. There was talk of rehab. There was talk of daycare rehab clinics. There was no talk of just going home, which is what I wanted to do. Dana wanted me in rehab, and it took a little convincing, but if there was going to be an us, then rehab it was. It would have to be, and I am very happy I chose the latter.
Wow, this is like the G version of this story, Dr. Marry.
I know. I didn't want to get... Yeah, I'm sure one... We had more than a few arguments. In fact, there was a social worker that convinced me I could go on day release. And
I hate that social worker.
And I was so happy. I actually, when Dana came back, I was so proud. Of it. Hey, guess what? I can do day release. And the response I got was not exactly what I had anticipated.
Well, we'll just leave it at this. I tracked down said social worker and sat down with her.
Oh,
and then suddenly, she was suggesting that you needed to go into full-time rehab. Yeah.
Yeah, and wow. I'm glad I did. Well, I'm glad I did now. At the time, it was, it was scary, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not Bible camp.
No. But, yeah, well, we're sitting here because of it.
I like this post, though. I think you do a really nice job of sort of talking about that spiral And you're very succinct about it,
Mm.
which I just think is really
Well,
probably very, very true from the addict's perspective. It's because from the outside it feels like a much larger, slower, swirling circle. But I think for you it really was. I'm fed up at work. I'll have a drink. That'll make it better.
I just wanted to.
And it just progressed.
It took me a long time to write that little paragraph, but you know, it's.
Could that because you're also a terrible typist?
Yeah. Well, these two fingers and that thumb when I'm feeling cocky.
Yeah.
I get a rhythm going. Once when Dana saw me typing, she actually said to me, "You wrote up a PhD thesis typing like that?"
It is astonishing. He could have laid out type print faster.
Yeah, I could have done. But I just wanted it to be honest and without any fluff.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.